And yeah, welcome back to Notes on Conscious Leadership. This is a podcast for everyday conscious leaders by everyday conscious leaders. My name is Taylor Coburn. I'm a creative self-mastery affiliate coach, also an everyday conscious leadership hub captain here in Berlin, Germany. And I'm also an everyday conscious leader. And today I'm joined by my mentors, colleagues, and everyday conscious leaders as well. Creative self-mastery and everyday conscious leadership founder, Marc Difrancia. Creative Self-Mastery Executive Coach Stanley Fisher, and Creative Self-Mastery Executive Coach Meehir Patel. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me today again, or doing this together. And yeah, basically, why are we here today, or why are we even creating this podcast? Well, if you've ever found yourself overwhelmed or bogged down by everyday situations, or fret no more, we're bringing you this podcast to share our notes with you on how we are navigating everyday situations from a place of consciously leading ourselves and also leading others. We see this as a very personal affair where you lead yourself consciously, and in order to also lead others or lead situations to the best outcome for everyone involved. And so today's topic actually is the importance of having a vision. Last week in our first episode, we defined what everyday conscious leadership is. So if you want to go and check that out, you can pause here or stop here and go be reminded of what everyday conscious leadership is. We'll probably talk about it today anyways, but today's focus is on having a vision. So yeah, that we're ready to get in.
Let's go.
What is having a vision?
Well, let's start at the beginning. So, what was it now? It's been, I guess, 8 years, guys, maybe a little bit longer. About 8 years ago or so, I had a vision for a group called Creative Self-Mastery. And that was going to be a group that where we had a membership. And part of the membership was that we offered workshops, in-person events, live events, online events. We have a coaching program through Creative Self-Mastery that allows people to become Creative Self-Mastery coaches, and then work for the company. And so, the vision for that I had was to get a bunch of people that I had trained, coaches that people I had worked with, train them into coaches, and then start a coaching company called Creative Self-Mastery. That was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I enrolled Stanley and Meehir in that vision. They were clients at the time. And I said, we've been working together for a while. You guys have the right stuff. Let's, join me in this vision for this, for this collaborative. Yeah. And so it started, like everything else, with an idea, and then the vision. The vision is basically taking that idea and fleshing it out, and really, having a good, wholesome, and enjoyable, daydream about what it looks like. Just letting your mind go and enjoying where it's wandering to, and seeing in there what's true for you. So I saw in the original vision, it was the membership, and that was where our big focus was. And back then we were teaching, personal development. And then as the vision grew, and it grew into, something bigger that was a collaborative and had not just members, but coaches and affiliate coaches, the vision grew some more. And we decided that we wanted to bring in coaches from other modalities that don't necessarily work, haven't necessarily gone through the Creative Self-Mastery coaching program, but have gone into something else, have done something themselves and are coaching themselves. And then we brought them in as affiliates. And then we visioned some more, and we started a leadership group, Everyday Conscious Leadership, which is what this is. And so basically a vision to me is your destination. It's where you're going. we start out wherever we are and we say, I want to end up here. That's my destination, right? That's my vision. And the bigger the vision, the more you can feel your way into it, the more emotion it's generating in you, the stronger and the faster you're going to create that thing, because it's the energy of the vision that drives the creation. So visioning is extremely important. People just think of it as daydreaming. It's not. If you're not visioning properly, you're not driving your creation, and sooner or later the energy starts to go out of it. You know? And once the energy goes out of it, we start to act like traditional Muggle humans, you know, who are geared to quit, because all humans are geared to quit in our dysfunction. That's the one thing we have in common, is we're all geared to quit. So the fun goes out of something, the vision starts to, you know, get murky. We start to lose our connection to it. The energy starts to go out of it, and we quit. You know. Likewise, though, the more that we put the energy in it, the bigger it grows. So I started out with, you know, a couple of coaches. Now I've got a horse training business that I, you know, teach people, you know, leadership through horsemanship. I've got the Everyday Conscious Leadership group. I've got the Creative Self-Mastery group. I've got my coaches. I've got the collabs. I've got the leaders, you know, all from one little vision that I just kept adding to. Right. So that's the importance of vision. The more you can vision, the more you can create. Yeah. And the faster and more efficiently you can do that.
My favorite part of a vision is receiving the vision. And in order to receive a vision, we have to be soft and not in some form of traumatic situation, because we'll be problem solving instead. If we're in reaction to anything, frustrated with anything, we've got to accept that part of it and drop into a place where we can receive that vision. And the way I've kind of come to understand it on some level when we talk about energy and a vision is, you know, the more my, you know, femininity to receive that vision, my softness, the more I can connect to it. And then once I can connect to it, I get that picture gets clearer and clearer and clearer on what that vision looks like.
I want to add, I think we've kind of been saying it, but not as clearly as we can. And I think the way I want to describe it, and the way kind of we usually talk about vision, it's the functional use of your imagination.
Yes.
So it's consciously engaging your imagination in a sort of really sort of conscious way, a conscientious way. And yeah, there is not, you know, there is an element of daydreaming to it, but you can actually leverage your vision and your imagination to not only create a life that is completely different from your existing life, but also kind of change who you are, call in the types of experiences that you want to have, and ultimately, as Marc describes, the destination, the end results that you want to experience. And it takes practice to engage your imagination. And where I started with, I think we all have started where our imagination, we don't put it to good use. We have a dysfunctional relationship with imagination. In my case, there was a lot of worst case scenario thinking, a lot of sort of dreaded problems that I was trying to avoid, whether it be things around my resources, whether it be getting my heart broken in relationships, getting fired from a job, you know, thinking I'm going to be punished and I'm going to be rejected in some way. These are all types of vision and a dysfunctional use of our imagination. But a true vision, when we talk about vision, a true vision is the functional use where it contributes to your expansion, to what you want to experience more of, where you want to grow, what you want to call into being. And that's what we mean when we talk about vision. It's ultimately the expansion of yourself and your heart.
Yeah, amazing. I'm really glad that you brought the imagination into it, Meehir, because I think a lot of the time what most of us are doing, you know, and like Marc had said, Muggle humans. So if we are kind of, you know, on autopilot and not actually, you know, being intentional with where we're putting our attention and you know, from where we want to go and from what we're behaving, then we often are kind of operating from a dysfunctional use of our imagination. What could go wrong? What if this happens? What if my history repeats itself? What if we run out of budget? I mean, I've seen it in every company I've worked in, and we were always working from fear. and much less from actually being enrolled together in some sort of vision that all of us felt, like Marc said, energetically connected to. So I'm curious now if we want to dive into, if we're looking at maybe different examples, even though Marc, you brought up an example of your own vision with creative self-mastery, but maybe there's some today that we can actually watch out there in pop culture. Does anyone have one where we can see that it's like a dysfunctional use versus a functional one of vision?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk, dysfunctional use of vision, then just look at the presidential election.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I mean, why do we have to go any further than the most obvious, example of buffoonery that we have going currently? Neither of these people have visions. I mean, they do. They have visions. Kamala Harris can't really tell us how she's going to get her vision, how she plans to implement any of her vision. She's got lots of vision, but she can't implement it. And we know that, when Trump was asked about, healthcare, he was like, well, I've got lots of ideas, but no plan. And so, so this is, that is, that's the right there. Neither one have a solid vision. I would say Harris's vision is probably more fleshed out. But then again, Project 2025 is a pretty clear vision for how to, to take over the American government and reform it. And so, but
even
the people,
even that, yeah.
But the people, I mean, like, if you want to talk about visioning and negative, dysfunctional use of imagination, go on Facebook and just look at what people are saying. I've got a friend, one of my closest friends my whole life. She's a nurse. She's educated. She comes from, she's got, she's part of an academic family, and she's got all sorts of visions of how the country is going to go to hell in a handbasket if Kamala Harris gets into office, right? This is an educated white woman who does not even have enough vision to be able to say, well, it's a huge move for the women's movement. It's a great move for equality. So, but no, can't see, because the vision is so negative. There's so much dysfunction in the vision that they can't see anything positive, not one thing that's positive about the opposition. So you want to talk about negative use of your imagination, or dysfunctional use of your imagination. When you start factoring out the truth because you're using your imagination dysfunctionally, and making visions that aren't based in reality, that are just based in your thoughts and feelings, that is dangerous. That's dysfunctional use of imagination and visioning. And those visions actually convince you that there is no choice but one. And we always have more than one choice. We always have more than one option. But the vision, using it negatively, convinces you that everything is limited. When we work with the horses, I get this great exercise that we do, and at the end of it, everyone's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize how much freedom we had in that exercise." And I'm like, no, we don't, because as humans, we don't vision for expansion. We vision for control and to make sure that we're going to be able to manage this situation. And we also go vision from our limiting beliefs and what we think is possible. And so, so that type of visioning doesn't work. But when we're doing the opposite, and we're going with expansion, with expansive visions, the world, the sky's the limit. I mean, I just found out that the company that we, the sanctuary that we started for the horses has become a registered charity with the government. I'm going to tell you that I never saw that as part of my life at any point in my life. And even in, the vision for the horses, I never really saw us running a charity. But as things went on, and that vision grew, and the sanctuary grew, and the programs grew, so didn't the need for it to become a charity. Vision is expansive when we're doing it functionally, and it drives creation.
I work with voice actors and I deal with the same thing there, where they'll walk into an audition or a recording session and they'll use their dysfunctional imagination to try to prevent anything from happening. And they'll end up creating the one thing they sought to avoid coming into the room, which was to irritate everyone, because they want external validation and proof that they're getting it right, instead of actually bringing to life what they see in that script.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all about our imagination, and also the kind of the messages that we're sending to our subconscious. We talk about dysfunctional use of imagination. There's also means what is informing us as well. So if we're not having a conscious relationship with our imagination, things outside of us, like the news or like the conventions of society, with the sort of rules and regulations, the right way beliefs, all of that kind of informs the way you engage your imagination. And using your imagination functionally requires you to actually engage your will and your focus in a very, practice sort of way. So this is not like sort of willy-nilly, it's not regular type of daydream. Yes, absolutely. Be in the high vibes of what's going on in your mind and enjoy it as much as you can. But when it push comes to shove, you don't just want to create inside your mind's eye. That's the starting point. And then you want to kind of see what's obvious and see what's next to kind of to bring that vision into being more than anything. So I think what I find around making the shift to actually visioning in a powerful way, in a much more constructive way. It doesn't have to be massive. I honestly think that everyone uses their imagination all the time. Everything that's been ever created in the history of mankind has started in someone's imagination, right? Whether it's good stuff or not so good stuff. And if you're listening and you're sort of listening to what we're saying and the words that we're saying, even if you can invoke even the slightest images or even the sensations within yourself that contributes or reminds you or is giving you the feeling that, wow, this is the kind of life that I want to live, this is the kind of experience I want to have, you're headed in the right direction. So it doesn't have to be, it can be grandiose as you want it to be, or you can start off small and have baby steps. But the idea is to experience your imagination viscerally and in a conscious way, and then move forward to actually actualizing it in a very obvious way. And that also is presented to you by your imagination.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because I think we've really fleshed out like what is a vision and how we can have negative visions and visions that are actually, the ones that show us that we're on the right track. What is the point of having a vision? Why is it so important, especially in terms of leading ourselves and leading others?
I'll take that question. So more than anything, if we're not consciously engaging our imagination in a functional way, our sort of unconscious beliefs and narratives are what driving the show. So you're usually in a mode of proving your history. So if you have a history of feeling pain or feeling heartbreak or feeling disappointment or any sort of what you would describe as negative, then that's what you're going to continue to create unconsciously, and you're going to continue living your life trying to solve the problems that life, to only solve the problems that life presents in itself. With a vision, on the other hand, is like you're allowing all of that to exist and it's okay, but you're falling outside of the realm of problem solving and using your imagination dysfunctionally, and you're inviting yourself to create your life in a very conscious way as opposed to an unconscious way. So hopefully I've teed off the guys that can kind of build upon.
Yeah, I want to add to that. As I said earlier, vision, is the energy that drives the creation. So the stronger the vision, the faster the creation, and the more efficiently we create something. And that's what we're talking about here is you're going to be guided by emotion, and thoughts and feelings create emotions, and emotions generate behavior, and behavior generates outcomes. So when you're in a solid vision, you're visioning from your, from your heart space, from your connection to all that is, from your connection to wisdom and intuition and godliness. Then you're going to have, you're going to create something within you that drives you, right? An emotion that starts to drive you. And the more we vision, the more expansive that becomes. So we have, we start moving towards one thing, and then before you know it, we're branching off and doing other things. And, if I just look at my business and the way I visioned my business from one little thing, I just started out as a coaching business, now it's multifaceted. I work, a number of different modalities, and I'm never bored because my life is always changing, always growing, always expanding, and I'm always outside of my comfort zone, which is where all the growth and wonderful things happen, right? But with vision, you're drawn. A solid, healthy, functional vision draws you out, and want you to step into your, into that zone that isn't comfortable for you, where all the magic happens. Yeah. Because that's generative, and then we have more experiences like that, and then we want to have more experience, so we start going, well, if I can do this, then I can do that, and then we start, realizing with a solid vision, there's nothing we can't do. Absolutely nothing we can't do. But I do want to say, it is not a straight line from where you start to where you finish. And as a leader, having a solid vision, helps you to navigate through the unforeseen detours and obstacles. Because it's the leader's responsibility to keep everything moving forward towards that destination. And even if that means adjusting the route. So, a lot of times we have had to, adjust and create again, adjust our vision and try again. And that's the thing, as leaders with a solid vision, we know where we're going all the time. We know how to get there, even if we don't know how to get there. We know that we will be advised as how to get there. And a solid vision keeps the other people around you enrolled as well. So they don't want to quit. They want to keep moving. They're coming up with expansive ideas as well. That's why, we want to have solid visions as leaders. It not only serves us in our creation, but it serves to keep the other people in our team enrolled and moving towards, those end results, and it keeps people accountable.
And depending on how you're stacking up these experiences and the way that you think, when you think about the scope of your whole life, you're either stacking up to have a really incredible life that you get to live, or you're stacking up to live in your fate. And the idea is to live a life worth living.
Yeah, absolutely. With vision, you're not leaving anything up to chance in any shape or form. What we're really saying is that you're a powerful creator, you're a leader of yourself, the energy that you embody, and the energy that's around you, and the energy of other people. You can actually consciously lead that, but it all starts with vision more than anything. And another thing that I do want to mention is, you might hit roadblocks, you might have problems. Now, we're not saying that problems don't matter or whatever, but as a leader, the thing what we're saying here around vision is that the beautiful thing, the most powerful thing about vision is that what's implied is that all the problems, all the challenges that you may foresee, you're not emotionally or energetically tied up with them. You're just more in the faith that they will be taken care of, they'll be solved along the way, because the vision will kind of just outdo all the problems that present themselves or any of the roadblocks. And then if you hit, like say on your journey to your vision, you hit, let's say, a crossroad or any shape or form, or it may feel like, a significant challenge, more than anything, you're not compromising your vision in any shape or form. If you have to compromise, it's just a temporary state of events that you might have to make a little adjustment around. So that doesn't mean under any circumstance or any sense of the words that we're saying here is that your vision is too much or too grandiose. We can, we can check to see if you're still trying to solve problems or you're trying to escape certain bad realities or negativity or anything like that. That doesn't serve your vision very much. Your vision is born purely from the depths of your imagination, and you just want to bring it into being because you find that that's the truth. It's this, you want to bring it into being in and of itself. It's creating and imagining and vision for the sake of imagining and creating.
Yeah,
Yes, awesome.
I think one thing, I just want to throw in one thing there, which is, that, that negative visioning, we're if we're not drawing our visions from love, if we're not drawing from what we would love to experience, what we would love to create, we're going to draw from a sense of need. What do I need to create in order to be loved? What do I need to create in order to be happy? What do I need to create in order to be successful? And if we create from need, then we will only create, codependence and dysfunction. And yes, can we create, great things from our dysfunction? Yeah, look at the world. 90% of the world is more than 90% of the world is unconscious. And yet everything that's been created in the world has largely been created by people that were operating unconsciously, sometimes even doing downright dirty deeds in order to get it done. Yeah. But what we're saying is that there is, it is a lot faster. It's a lot harder to maintain those things. When you're creating from negative vision, when you're creating from need, it's a lot harder. You can create it because creating is our gift, but you can't maintain it. It's really difficult to maintain. And typically we end up quitting on it or losing it. And so to me, it's important that we acknowledge that your creations have to come from what would you love to experience, because if you aren't choosing the things you would love to experience, you're going to choose the things you think you should experience or need to experience in order to be loved or whole or complete or whatever, right? And creating, from that type of negative vision is how a lot of people do it. I've done it. I've created, businesses that I thought I needed to have because I needed to have that business in order to be accepted in the world or in order to, have a position or whatever. What I've realized is the things that I've created from a sense of need, a sense of negative vision, a sense of lack, have all been things that have actually been detours that haven't really served me, or they've brought me back, to a place that I was before and said, now it's time to adjust and create again because you went off track. So yeah, I really want to make sure that people understand that when we talk about vision, we're talking about what your heart wants, not what your head wants.
Yeah, outside the realm of need and emotional pain. That's the main thing around creating a true vision. It's outside the realm of that completely.
Yeah, I'll just throw in a little anecdote before we start to kind of recap what we talked about and wrap up for today. But this past weekend here in Berlin, we had the Berlin Art Week kick off, and I was talking to some artists and a couple that I know, and I was like, yeah, so are you, what are you going to be doing in the next year? Are you showing your paintings anywhere? And the conversation always went towards, well, I have to work now to make money first, so then I can take time off and then create my paintings. And I was just thinking about, I was like, well, it's interesting because if you had the vision of what you wanted to create, then you would start working towards that. And then the money would actually come as a component, kind of like what Meehir was saying earlier. Like as we go towards our vision, like Marc said, there's an emotion that's created and we're drawn to it. It's something we would love to experience. Having my paintings all over the world or shown in different studios around Berlin, then you start to go towards it. And then things, kind of the road rises to meet you, and you start to notice things that are going to bring these components in to actually get you into that vision. And one last thing, I know, Meehir, you want to share something that was sticking out to me, though, is that a vision is also super important, because if we're not in a vision, we can't actually enroll others into it. And if we're leading from negative vision, we're not actually moving the energy around that's gonna create the best outcome for all involved. We're really just creating the best outcome, maybe for us, for only a temporary amount of time as well. So, and especially in terms of like these artists, I was thinking like, oh, what a shame that the world has to wait like longer until you first get your money before you paint your paintings to actually see what you have to share with us.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually building on what Mark said around the need thing. A lot of people, you know, what I've found with the work that I've done with clients and the people that I've worked with when it comes to people, personal leadership, a lot of people are preoccupied with creating the conditions for their vision rather than just going for the vision itself. Like everyone really wants that. They use their imagination. Okay, I'm going to vision having money. I'm going to vision having the love of my life. And I'm going to vision having this big house on the hill, you know, and all of these type of conditions more than anything. But what you'll find if you go a little bit deeper, if you ask yourself, if you inquire, if you approach your vision with curiosity and imagination, you'll kind of realize that there's a complete pure version of your vision that's nothing to do with having the conditions. The conditions are already met. When we talk about vision, your conditions, everything you need, the resources that you need, whatever they might be, they're implied wholeheartedly. They're implied, but we're not preoccupied or wasting any sort of energy trying to create the conditions alone. That in and of itself is what we would say is also a negative vision.
Yeah, I think whenever we're creating whenever we're creating something that we believe has to be there in order for us to be able to move forward, then I would question that vision, because we think we know, but we don't know. And curiosity and imagination are the gateway to intuition. Intuition helps to guide us through situations that we have no way of knowing how to handle, but we have intuition that guides us and gets us through. I am doing 9 different projects at present, and I don't know how to do about 8 of them. If I'm honest, I really, it's part of the vision to learn and to grow. And yeah, that's, in the vision, I am capable of doing, of being of service to people. I'm capable of living my life. I'm capable of having the things I want. Just because I'm reaching into areas that are beyond my ken, that doesn't matter. That's growth. That's what excites me, is constantly challenging myself and constantly moving forward. So, and so when we're going from the things that we love, we don't feel like we need to create things in order to have them. So I don't feel like I need to create, a partner in order to, be loved in my life. What just happened?
We're still here. You're all good.
Oh, okay. The screen just went black. So yeah, I don't feel like I have to create. I don't need to create degrees in the things that I'm trying to do in order to be able to do them. And if you're the type of person that believes I have to have letters after my name in order to do something, then you don't have that type of vision. You have a right way belief that says, that the only way a person can be educated or a teacher is if they're complete enough to have a PhD or letters after their name. That's not necessarily the truth, right? But that is a condition that most of us will try to meet before we will put ourselves out in the world. When I first started as a coach, I'm like, nobody's going to listen to me because I don't have letters after my name. That was 15 years ago. There are plenty of people listening to me right now. It has nothing to do with the letters after my name. The conditions don't need to exist in order for you to have what you want in your vision. So what do people do? They dumb down the vision because they believe they're not complete. And they don't have everything they need in order to be complete. So then they dumb down the vision. And then they live these mediocre experiences, right? When you realize that you are complete as you are, and that you are here for no other reason than to create, then you vision from your heart and you create wonderful things to put into the world.
Amazing.
Otherwise, you just spend your life trying to catch up and be complete.
And that can be quite an exhausting existence. So I do feel this conversation, there's obviously a lot more to this conversation, and it goes a lot deeper, and it can get super fun, more fun than it already has been. But we are out of time for today. So I'm going to draw the cap. If this episode has served you, whoever's watching live or watching the recording, and you want more, and you want to come have more in-depth conversations live with us, and also in our discussion forum, then come on and join us in our private global community that we're just kicking off in this platform called School. But you can get in there through our website, www.everydayconsciousleadership.com, which it's not just this sort of like school online community that we have. Also, what we're trying to do here is spread awareness about this paradigm that we're putting into the world, and talking about. And also we're exploring together as we're also going towards our visions and being everyday conscious leaders. So other things that you can get into within the community is you can become a hub captain, like Stanley, Marc, Meehir, and myself. Wherever you are in the world, if you want to open up a hub, we will support you in that, and you can work with us, and you can open up your own hub and put on events, etc. Also, you can become sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. You can also sponsor the events that are going to happen in the future, maybe with a location or some food, or what, the sky's the limit. It all depends on what's in the vision. But those are just a few things that we have in our vision, while we build and expand on this vision and on this community. So do check out the website and come join us. This isn't about, business. This is about us coming together and creating an army of everyday conscious leaders. So get in there, and we will be back next week live with another episode of Notes on Conscious Leadership. And our topic's going to be all about orientation. So you won't want to miss it. And thank you guys for everything you shared today. And thank you everyone who's been watching. And we'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
See you next week. Bye-bye.